Hello? Am I the only one that can't hear? Can anybody hear me? I can't hear you. Did you turn your mic off, Jim? Everyone can see and hear me. Okay. So this is going to make for an interesting conversation if I can't hear what.
Maybe. Is that better?
There it is.
Oh wow. So I like
real loud mic.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I better check the batteries. I'll text Lindsay to bring me a battery, but I just checked them, so they should be fine. Maybe in what I was trying to say and all of that, when no one heard it, then I don't think anyone said they couldn't hear me until now. But we had a great week. We had a lot of fun. We had a bunch of people on in the last week. 3 community showcases. This will be in the last 7 days. So thank you guys for coming out. I am going to text Lindsay right away. Bring double A's. Anyways, can you guys still hear me? You can't hear me, can you? Wait, can you? Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me, Pooch? Breaker 19, over. I'm not sure. I think Pooch is frozen. Anyways, I think my mic is good for now, but I think Pooch is frozen as frozen can be, but that's okay. He has kids, so he's seen that movie a lot of times. Hopefully he'll come back. It was hilarious because we literally just talked for the last half an hour with no issue. So I think Lindsay's going to bring me some AA batteries just in case. All right. Hopefully you can hear me now. Pooch is still frozen, and we have no audio. Oh man, that's hilarious. So this is why we test, and everybody's saying best stream ever. Yep, that's good. So it turns out like one of my alien streams. That's hilarious. There we go. Let me just turn this bad boy on. There we go. You guys can hear me, I think, but I apologize for the craziness. Check 1. There we go. Now I'm back. I'm not sure if Pooch is back yet, but we're back. So that was the best start of a stream we've ever had since the community showcase started. Down below us, I can see our other guests. They're laughing down there. This is good stuff. And you know, I think that's a great shade on you. Oh man, yeah, he's trying. So what I'll do is I'm going to pull him out till I see him, and we'll get our guest of honor, we'll call him. Hopefully, guys in the bottom, you can hear me still, right? Yeah, okay. They're shaking their head. Yeah, these guys would let me know if we couldn't. But our guest of honor, you know, we have a star-studded show. I know Pooch is trying to get back on, so as soon as I see him, we'll bring him back in. You know Pooch from the hit drama Pushing Chuck. That was last year. If you guys watched anything, you know him. Oh, there he is. Hey, he's back.
Pushing Chuck. I love it.
It's a hit drama.
It was a hit for somebody.
It was a hit for somebody. Nice. Well, you're back. I have volume and you have video, so we're good. I
mean, maybe we just needed to buffer a little. You know, get out of the. I got as low res as I can get them, as I think the Wi-Fi looks strong. I don't know. I got the bars.
Yeah, who knows? But I think we should bring in our next guest because, well, we've about 7 minutes of technical fun stuff going on here. Someone else says Racing Private Hellebuck.
That's a good one.
Barry White voice shouldn't come tonight because we're using the lav, not the other mic. But anyways, you might know our next guest from a hit TV show called, well, wait a minute. Isn't it Firefly?
Firefly.
I think on Firefly. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish.
No. Ladies and gentlemen,
they're the best costumes.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Hewlett from all sorts of fun stuff. How you doing, David?
To all the brown coats. you know.
Well, you work next to Jewel, right?
Yeah, I did. I was incredibly excited to work next to Jewel. They brought her in and they stuck her in a lizard outfit the first episode. I thought, that's it. We lost her. That's our last Firefly connection ever.
Oh,
I mean,
that is
real acting. When you have to act next to like a lizard person, like
I was
just not laugh or scream or whatever. That's amazing. That's talent.
like, the beauty of McKay was that he didn't really hide his disdain for any of this stuff anyway. So it's like, you're a lizard woman. Like, it's, you know, there's not really much more to say about that. The poor woman, though, she was so good about it. I couldn't believe it.
Josh has a good point. No, you don't. You wish you were in Firefly. They were canceled in less than a season.
Good point. Very good point. Yes.
No, it's funny, but welcome. We've been talking back and forth, and I appreciate you finding the time to jump on with us.
Oh, this is great. This is fantastic.
And you got a lot of cool stuff going on. Of course, everybody knows, Stargate, and if you look at IMDb, there's a ton of fun stuff you've been in. But most recently, you've been doing a lot with tech. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was a miserable student. I think it's a great irony to everyone who knows me that I play geniuses on television, because I was quite the opposite of that in school. In fact, they tested me in school. Worst thing that ever happened is they tested me in school because they thought, oh, maybe the kid's a little slow. We got to get him tested for this stuff. They tested me, and apparently I did very well because it wasn't a test that was required, me to study in any way. And my favorite kind of test, I was like, seriously, you don't have to study? This is a breeze. So apparently I then, like an idiot, I did very, very well on it. And then all my teachers were like, you lazy little, so that was the rest of my school years, was basically me just trying to get out of school in any possible way. So the tech stuff came from that, really. I saw my son. You see these kids sort of bounding off to school, all excited and curious and, all eager to learn stuff. And within like a month, they're coming home from school going like, I hate school. School's so boring. And you're like, what? This is like, it's supposed to be the most exciting, like it's supposed to be, we're learning all this cool stuff. And no. So I thought I would, isn't it like, Pooch, you must have this as well. Like, it's just so frustrating.
I'm lucky that it seems to hold my children's interest currently, but it's like, you just want to look at them, change, like, stay as long as you can. Like, the real world is not a kind place comparatively, and nor is it exciting.
Well, that's it. I mean, I was out of school, like, literally as soon as I was legally allowed to. And then my father, as soon as he was legally allowed to kick me out because I'd left, he had me out. But it was, which was great, because as an actor, it's very easy to sort of walk around at parties going like, yeah, I'm going to be an actor. It's going to be great. I'm going to be fabulous. Ciao. But if you're kicked out of the house, you have to actually start earning a living. So I started acting at like 16. But the school stuff always kind of stuck with me, because it was in this weird situation where I loved learning. I always loved learning. I just didn't realize that. I didn't realize that going home and taking things apart and building things and programming and all that kind of stuff was learning, because no one ever made that connection with the school stuff. So I thought, well, maybe there's something there I could do. So I started, the first thing we did was my son wanted to play video games. So I was like, okay, if you want to play video games, we got to play PC games. And if you want to play PC games, you got to build a computer. So we built this like rather nice sort of kick-ass little VR rig. And I tried VR and I just got really sick. I couldn't do it. I get motion sickness. I'm like, it's ridiculous. Like it's like a nightmare for a nerd. It's like this so cool technology. And then as soon as I get there, I'm like, so we built this PC, and then while we were doing it, because it took forever, because it'd been forever since I'd done it, kids would show up at the front door and go like, your son's a liar. And you'd be like, oh man, what's he done now?
Right.
They're like, he said you're building like a gaming computer. And I was like, well, yeah, that's what we're in the basement. So they would come, they'd traipse down, they'd look at this thing, they'd be like, ooh, what's this, what's that? And so I thought, well, this sort of black box mentality of technology, which is really prevalent now. There's a sort of a learned helplessness that goes along with technology that's kind of like, oh, this is a box, and when it stops working, you throw it out and you buy another one. And that to me is like, that's like the greatest sin ever. Like this stuff should be, play with this stuff. So I started bringing stuff in for them to take apart. And originally someone said call it a breaker space. We called it a breaker space, but then people would literally start, hammers would go through.
Smash.
Yeah.
Smash.
So I started calling it tech autopsies, and that made all the difference, because then people would sort of come in and they'd start sort of like doing CSI things and lifting up little bits of plastic and looking under, and so it's it's sort of, and then from there it's expanded into a bunch of other stuff. One of the things I discovered was, and please stop me at any point, I will just babble, as you can probably tell. But I discovered that assistive tech, I'd been playing this assistive tech stuff because of a documentary I wanted to do. But it sort of started to sort of bleed into the tech terrors, as they were called. They're now the tech bandits, because apparently that's, more kosher. But they're still terrors. They love the idea of seeing like technology actually making a difference. They could see that connection. Whereas I guess they were being taught, for the most part, like, oh, you turn the light bulb on, you turn the light bulb off, or not even light bulbs, LEDs and that kind of stuff. And they're like, big deal. But if you see a kid with developmental or physical disabilities switching things off and on that you've built, there's a huge, like, you see that, they suddenly go, oh, wait a second, this isn't for me, this is for them. And all of a sudden there's this kind of excitement, and I get a chill talking about it, because it's just, you suddenly go, I'm onto something. This is making a difference.
You bring up a really interesting point, because I vividly remember walking a similar path where it's like, I wanted to get into gaming, and luckily my dad was in IT, and he always had computers, like, well before anybody had PCs, and building computers, and it was a really formative experience for me. And thinking about my own son, I'm like, that's a good route. If he says like, okay, like how do you get some education involved in there? But the thing that really struck a chord with me, when you're talking about when you put a tech project in front of kids, and it tends to be very, and of course, they have to go lowest common denominator, try to appeal to the greatest amount of children and stuff like that. It's very procedural, right? And it's like, yeah, exactly. The hello world script, and then turns on the LED, turns it off, and it's a good place to start. But it reminds me, like, somebody like you who claims to be a terrible student, but was probably like on Einstein level and just bored, right?
How about that?
Yeah. It's like, I think there's a lot of kids out there that, like, how do you identify and kind of route to different learning styles? And I think for myself, when I was building my first computer, I remember it was very motivated by the fact that, like, I needed to have enough video RAM or something to play a game I wanted to play. Right. And of course, I was lucky that my dad had brought home and upgraded several computers for what he needed to do for work. But then there was a box of parts that I was granted.
I love the box of parts.
And I was able to just kind of pop a card in and see if that worked, and it didn't work. And I got to a point, I remember, where I had two video cards, but they had two different physical monitor connections at the time, and I don't even remember exactly what it was, because this was back in the RGB days, like
the VGA port.
It was VGA, but there was a different connector on one of these boards, and I wanted the RAM that was on one board, but the connector on the other. And so, as a curious kid, I'm like, well, that RAM chip is it's the same number of pins, on this one as is in this one. So I just like, maybe I can just
work
off and put it on there. And that was my first experience with the blue smoke. You turn the thing on and just went, and you just got the little, and so, I thought my dad was going to kick my butt, and he got home and he just laughed, and, it was in the
stories. Like that. Yeah. So I'm sorry. All right.
No. It's that exploration that is, I remember that to this day, right? I don't remember about the millions of Hello World scripts and stuff I've done.
And that's it. I think you need to be able to, there's this sort of this need to get things right. And kids are taught that they've got to get, that they've got to finish the project. And I'm like, no. I feel like it's almost like but as well, in reverse, if someone walked into my math class and showed me this crazy ass, expression, algebra craziness that I was going to learn, and then said, okay, that's what we're going to be doing by the end of the year. How cool is this? Now check out this little part here. You'd be like, now you get it. Like, now you're like, oh yeah, I want to be the freaking genius who solves that.
There you go.
And I feel like the person I spoke to someone called Bonnie Schmidt, who started this charity here about 25 years ago called Let's Talk Science. And it's just about inspiring science, technology, engineering, and math in kids. And that's all it does. And I met her at a Bill Nye event. I went to say hi to Bill Nye because we'd worked together on Stargate, and he was doing this Labo thing for I think he must be just paid to be like the face of it or something. But anyway, so we saw him and sort of said hi, and then she was there, and she said like, who are you and what are you doing here type thing? And I said, oh, I just pretend to be smart on television. And we started talking about some stuff I was doing, and she's like, well, you have to. What was that? You don't know who I am?
Who are you and what are you doing here?
Well, that's it, exactly. Yeah. Basically security. But she sort of pointed out that curiosity is much more important than knowledge, because you can always find stuff out. So, and it sort of gave me the heads up, sort of gave me in a way, permission from somebody who actually did this stuff to pursue it, because she's like, it's not, if you can get a kid excited about this stuff, they'll learn more. They'll do the groundwork they need to do to get there. But you need, in a way, a little bit of Hollywood, a little bit of theatrics in there. I mean, I always thought that I see a lot of these classes and coding classes and stuff, and I'm like, stop hiring nerds to teach kids. Hire actors and teach them how to do it in a way, because if they're excited about it, or at least they can fake it well, they're going to do a better job, because the kids are going to be more excited to listen to them. Right.
Well, it's where those Venn diagrams overlap that you get the real sweet spot, David. Like, you got your nerds and you got your actors, and there's probably, I don't know, what do you think that overlap looks like?
There's like a fair amount of it. I mean, I get nerd, geek is kind of in now, so who knows? I don't know how much of that Venn is a true connection, but yeah, I think there's, and also look, the other thing about it is that actors freaking love to look smart. So if you teach kids, you feel like the smartest person in the room. It's amazing, because they're all like,
you're acting, right?
Yeah. What? And I think, on our side as makers and people in like the 3D printing community, it is super cool to see somebody of your nature, of an actor, that's been in these big films and little films and shows and all that. But then you come out and you're like, I just 3D printed this. This is the coolest thing ever. And we're just like, there you go. We've been saying that for a while. It's really cool, that overlap. And I think a couple people I've been watching the comments here have said that it's really cool to see somebody, a star, right, that's into things that we're into. And it's really funny that you kind of overlap like that. You're in your name, if anyone didn't notice, you put Canardian, and you highlighted the nerd in the middle.
I never know what to write in the name thing.
And I love that.
How'd you get a choice? I'm just
That's it. Yeah.
David, why did you use a finger quoted star?
Star.
I'm curious when you did that.
Yeah, it's a star, right? No,
jerk. Don't be a jerk, Jim.
It's because you're much more of a star than I am, and that's why. But no, it's just fun to see. And one of the questions that I think I saw someone ask, and I had the question is, what do you print on? What kind of printer?
I've got a Prusa. I got the Prusa. I did the usual over research where you get to the point where you're just like, I don't know, there's too many. But then it was actually Maker Magazine had the best printer of that. I was like, that's it, fine. I'm just gonna settle on that. And I really wanted a kit, because I don't know why, but I just really wanted a kit. And it's funny because the kit arrived, and I suddenly went, what are you doing? You haven't built anything in 100 years. What if you can't build it? What if you just got something you have no idea? It seemed like a pile of rubble in the corner. And Prusa did such an amazing job, I thought, with their build instructions and their build videos. And there was so much support. There was, and then I ended up chatting with Prusa on Twitter, I guess, or something like that. Once I sort of got it up and running, I love it. It's bulletproof. But now I want to do the multi. I got to get the MMU, whatever it's called, or the
yeah.
He's a glutton for punishment. Well, listen, let me tell you something, my friend. You chose wisely. I have 4 Prusas going on 20, wow. And it is absolutely a workhorse. I mean, there's no other printer at this level that has been tested to this degree. And look, you're going to get a ton of people in the chat over here that are going to be like, Prusa's overpriced, and then all that stuff. And it's absolutely true. You can build a similarly spec'd printer for less. But for people that are getting into 3D printing, let's back up a second. How long have you been printing? When did you get the printer?
Oh God, it's been a couple of years now. I would think that's the Mark II, I think.
Oh, that's the 2. Okay, so you don't. Yeah.
Oh no, it's and I like, you know, if I had my way, I would upgrade every month. But
Well,
but
you don't.
it's a little steep to do that. But
That's the beauty. You don't need to, though. You know?
Well, and what you're paying for, I think, with the Prusa is that incredible amount of information that's out there. I mean, like that build manual. Now I'm maybe a little different than most nerds in that I freaking love manuals. Like I will pore over manuals for like before I'll like wait and not open the box and just be, you know, I love reading manuals. Sometimes manuals for things I don't even have.
He like downloaded the manual to read it before he even got
I did. That's exactly what I did.
I do that same thing.
Yeah, because I took, I guess, God, how many, 1,000 years ago, I took some time off. I was acting in a show. I was like shocked by it. It was Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. So I'm doing Kung Fu: The Legend Continues. It was such a miserable show to be on, you know, because the schedule would change depending on, you know, how many drinks Carradine had had the night before. And I mean, it was so I was like, screw this. If this is the pinnacle of an actor's success is like regular on a network television series, I'm out. And I went and I started working at this voicemail company before the internet, doing packet network stuff. And I was having so much fun until someone showed up and pointed out that I could pretend to be a nerd on television for far more money than I could actually do. But I loved it. I used to sleep under the desk. I used to commute an hour every day, like earning like $9. I was earning like minimum wage at this place, and I loved it because it was programming and tech support and all sorts of database work, and then building these packet network servers. Really, they would set them up in like closets all over the place with giant air conditioners, and they would break these voice messages apart and then send them off all over the world for much cheaper than you could if you paid long distance. And it all turned out it was all for a multi-level marketing company. It was like, I think it was like Amway or something was the, like, if I can't remember now, but yeah. So I've always sort of had that. The tech side of stuff has always been amazing to me. Just
get your voicemail and your makeup in one call.
That's it. Well, and they used to come in and try to pitch me on stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, I can't. Look, I have control of all of your voice networks. It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair for me to be selling anything because I'd be scooping you on all the, you know, all the stuff."
I'm like a real nerd's nerd. I mean, so if we were to go back further, if you will, like so sci-fi has always been big for you, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What are some of the shows and books and things that inspired you growing up that really got you into the space?
The big ones were Doctor Who, which I started watching in England with my parents when I was like 4, from behind not the sofa, exactly. Time and Relative Dimensions in Space. I was going to throw that at you too. But yeah, so I was watching the TARDIS from behind the Chesterfield, as we would say, the sofa. And that was it. I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like a Time Lord. That was it. And then when you realize that you can't be a Time Lord, but you can pretend to be a Time Lord, I was like, what? That's even better. I don't have to be smart. I just get to pretend to do stuff. It's even better. But that got me into this. I have to give a lot of credit to, there's this TV Ontario here, which is this TVO. They're basically a public broadcasting channel up here. And so their mandate was they had to have educational stuff. So they would show Doctor Who. And then in order to be allowed to watch Doctor Who, and because there was sort of like an extra sort of chunk of time, because the British half hour is a true half hour, and ours is like a fake half hour because you got commercials and stuff, they would stick on this at the end. They would stick on like scientists or professors, or in this case, there was the Undoctor, she used to call herself. And she was this fantastic Canadian science fiction writer who would talk about the science of Doctor Who. So for me, they were always sort of they were inextricably bound together, the science and the science fiction. So I was trying to make, I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to make a sonic screwdriver. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Long before they had the little plastic ones you could use and stuff, and collecting all the magazines and reading all the books. And so that was sort of seminal for me was Doctor Who.
Right.
I mean, that was the science fiction that did it for me. But then there was a lot of British, those great British. They had these. Looking back at them now, they look ridiculous. But you know, because this was like this would be 1970s, 80s, the 80s.
Which doctor were they on at the time?
What was that?
Which doctor were they on at the time?
It was Pertwee to start, and then Tom Baker was the guy. I was like, oh my god! Like I had the scarf, I had the hat, you know, I had the jelly babies. I was the whole.
Nice.
Yeah, the number of times I had to be rescued from escalators because of my scarf was like, you know, was legion.
Brian got really excited about Tom Baker. It's funny, I grew up watching it too. My dad was very formative with a lot of this stuff for me as well, and he was a huge Doctor Who fan. And I haven't probably watched it since I was with him, but there was always this one episode really early on with this thing that he called the neck-sucking pipe, and it was like it was this weirdest thing. It ran with the Dalek, you know, like, and it just looked like this little one of those little robotic. It had to have been back in the early. I mean, like I'm talking. This would have been in like the mid '80s.
Mid '80s. Okay. So yeah. So it was either Tom Baker or who was next up. Well, someone will get it right.
I'm gonna get slaughtered for not remembering it. It could well have been. I don't know, but it was this weird thing, and it literally looked like a pipe that was just like crawling around the ground, and then all of a sudden it would just like up to somebody's neck and kill them. And you know, you talk about how hokey.
Well, they were all practical effects, right? So they were all like these lame-o, like the Daleks would sort of wobble as they tried to sort of glide around, and like. But for some reason, I haven't really watched the new ones that much. I'll like pop in and every so often, and like when I hear something cool, I'll jump in. I really like Matt Smith. I thought he was very sort of Tom Baker in his approach. I'm looking forward to seeing some Jodie Whittaker stuff because you know, she sounds. I love the fact that they've gone that way with the fact that they have a female doctor. I think it's just great. It's cool. It just makes sense. Right. Like why we've seen a lot of old white men solving the problems of the universe. Let's maybe move on a little.
Well, I tell you what, I think we got to bring in our next guest, and we're just going to join him in. Brian, how you doing?
I'm fine. Hello, 3D printing friends.
Brian, what a surprise!
Hey.
Fancy seeing you here.
Right.
It's such a pleasure. I got to get it right. I think we practiced this before, so
Well, I was laughing because we literally talked. Pooch and I probably talked for almost a half hour. And then you guys jumped in, like, you know, before the stream, you know, and we were talking just fine. You hit start, it blows up, I guess. I don't know.
We're going smooth now, too. So it's like something at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. How to kill the best.
That's what happens, though, when we're living on the edge of time.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I brought it back up, I made a funny comment about on Stargate, nothing worked either, so keep it rolling.
Well, that's it. That's my thing is, it's like, Stargate, it's like anytime you touched any technology, you knew it was going to go wrong. You know.
That's what it's like on the bleeding edge, man. You know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's like, you know, early adopters, man. It's like
you know, it's like
early adopters.
Tim's like the Kardashian of tech. He just breaks the internet everywhere he goes. So.
I just can't believe that I don't know how long we've been doing like video conferencing now. It's still always the same problem.
It's still
yeah.
Video audio.
Behind a cabinet, like just shuffling packets around, laughing his ass off right now.
It always ends up with
shoving Amway ads in our face.
So in Canada, was it Canway?
But that's interesting though, if you think about it, because the Canadians do not like any way. Like I feel like the Canadians we distinguish ourselves by trying to be not American, but to our own detriment. Like we will do things that are far more inconvenient to us just to not be American about it. So that's an interesting point. Actually, it should probably have been Canway. In fact, they might have. Who knows? There you go.
He's only laughing about it because he's obligated to as a Canadian, Brian.
That's right. Exactly. I'm allowed to laugh basically at 3 different countries because I have American, British, and Canadian passports. So
there you go.
I'm like the Bourne Identity with none of the cool skills.
None of the intrigue.
Yeah, and one language, which is shameful too. You know? I got English.
Want to see something neat?
What do you got?
What is it?
Oh, Zedek Sinclair. Oh my God. I dreamt of that computer. Like, that was like when I had that, I would rule the world.
That was my first machine, not that specific one, but my first computer was a ZX81.
Wow. No, mine was a Commodore 64. And then there was the 808s or somewhere, I can't remember where did 808, I can't remember which one preceded which.
The 8086 came before the 8088.
Oh, then maybe it was the 88s. Maybe it was the, no. Then you know what? Then I must have come to it late then with the 808s because I remember the 808s. That was my, yeah, that was, and it was the IBM clones. And my father, like you, Pooch, my father was very computer savvy, but he was in OB-GYN. So there was only so much you could do with the Commodore 64. But he ran his entire office off this Commodore 64, and I used to do.
That's amazing. But the 64s had like a huge run.
Oh,
I mean, you could buy a 64 even to like the mid 90s.
Yeah, they're amazing computers. They've got great graphics. They got great sound. They had all the high-tech software like Bank Street Writer, and I remember having to divide essays. You used to have to divide essays up into like 10 different files because it could only hold so much in each one. Mm-hmm. And I remember being sent home. This is when I started maybe thinking maybe the school doesn't know so much. I got sent home with a fail on an essay because they said I cheated by using a computer. I was like, you didn't write it for me, for God's sake.
It was a typewriter.
Yeah. I think I came in
cheating.
Yeah. You can't have a computer right now.
You copy paste.
It's like
you cheated by having your report somewhat professionally.
I don't know if copy paste even was a thing back then, so I don't know.
This is pretty copy paste.
Copy paste was a lot more awkward. I remember that.
Well, I downloaded my report from CompuServe.
Oh my God! Oh my gosh! Yeah, CompuServe. I got on the internet as soon as the internet showed up here. As soon as it was allowed. They're non-alcoholic beers, so I don't know. They have no effect. I don't know. But as soon as there was internet available, like to the public here, I was on, and it was like ridiculous. It was like something like $70 a month or something for like a 1200 baud modem access or something.
Yeah.
But
the sound of the modem.
Oh.
That's
Get off the phone!
I think I came in late to the game because my first computer was a good old Apple IIe.
Oh, there you go.
And I had Oregon Trail.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh my God, I haven't thought of that one.
You have died of dysentery.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
You cannot carry any more meat.
Yeah. I remember spending a long time trying to do Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on the Commodore 64, the text adventures.
Uh-huh.
We're like, take an aspirin. I got stuck on take an aspirin that first because he woke up with a blinding headache. Remember the typical British fare. They would start off with a terrible hangover.
That was one of the Infocom games, right? Using the Zork adventure engine.
Yes, it probably would have been. Yeah, that would make sense. Well, and again, that was a series. You're talking about science fiction, inspired by science fiction. The BBC did this fantastically, wonderfully Doctor Who rubbery Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was just, it was glorious. It was glorious.
I've been a fan of Hitchhiker's Guide for a long time. I had a friend of mine had an audio cassette with all of the BBC radio plays.
Oh, right, because that's right. It was a radio play first, and then they did television. Uh-huh. They spoiled it with television, as they said. Yeah. But my son was one of the first sons. Like my son, I can't get my son to read. He hates, unless it's manga. He's got no interest. I was like, it's still reading. My wife's not as thrilled. But you'll get into this. You wait, Jim. When you get there's nothing like you want to put a wedge in a relationship. Just you have a child. It's amazing. You suddenly discover you have completely different ideas about certain things. But one of the books he did end up reading was Hitchhiker's Guide, which he really quite enjoyed. So
it's so freaking funny.
Oh yeah, no, it's brilliant.
I'm disappointed. And this is not meant to toot my own horn, but I just turned 42 this year, and I was sure I was going to learn the secret of life.
Maybe you already had.
I think I missed it somehow. I don't know. Yeah. It didn't get sent to me yet.
Oh, so 42. So you got 10 years on me. Like I'm 50. I'll be 52 this year. So yeah,
it's skin creep.
When were you born? I was born in 1967. You?
68.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm older than you.
Yeah, but I look older. That's the key. You just got to look. As long as you look younger, it's fine. I got to grow this thing because So I'm supposed to have a mustache for this next thing that I'm doing, and my wife so hates mustaches that I thought I would just go full beard for the meantime. So
And then just hit her with it all at once.
They just
full caterpillar, just at one time.
Are we talking the Snidely Whiplash here?
I can never do that. I can't get it to do that. I've tried everything. It won't. Oh, look a little bit. There's a little bit happening there now.
Yeah.
There's a couple people. There's this.
The Edge of Tech makeup tutorials. That'll be next. It'll be the Edge of Tech makeup tutorials.
Wait, I tried before we came. Did I not do good?
My base. Need to put my base on. Yeah.
My first 3D prints was like a mustache comb, I think. I don't know. I have to find that. I've never had a mustache though. I just seemed like it'd be handy.
Don't.
It seems like it'd be handy. Nope, not asking questions on that one.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that you didn't wear your 3D printed underwear tonight.
Yes.
David.
Well, or did I?
Or did you? Yeah, I don't know.
It's important for actors to have secrets. You know?
Yes. Anybody in the chat, if you did not follow any of the Twitters going on earlier, it was a lot of fun. It blew up it went in a bunch of different directions, and
as it tends to, yes.
Yeah. It ended up with I think you said you were going to do a camo pack of 3D printed underwear.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Yeah.
And then if you want to see my Sunday best, you got to jump on there. It's my best outfit.
Very good.
Nerdy Jesus at his best, man. We love it.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Is Nerdy Jesus up there now? Oh, nice. Nice.
You see that one? That was great.
Oh, I haven't seen Nerdy Jesus.
Be careful. The end of that GIF is shocking, though. It totally startled me when I saw that. No spoilers.
Oh, yeah, very good.
I'm going to have to watch that after the stream.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah. Not too
with the Tech Bandits, what else are you guys doing with that? You're teaching. It looks like you're showing people the technologies, right? Trying to get them to learn. But where else are you going with it?
Well, what's kind of fun about it is that they're very good at sort of steering it themselves, and that you sort of see what they get interested in and you sort of pursue it from there. So things came up like the assistive tech came up because they were asking me about what I was doing, and I talked about this assistive stuff, and so they got interested in that. Then I would just tell them what's happened. Like I go, I just spoke to these guys in Brooklyn. They've developed a brain-computer interface. They're like, we want to play with that. I was like, all right, we'll go. So I would go and like talk to these folks, and so we did sort of brain-computer interfaces the other day, and then they started going, well, can that tell you if you're lying or not? And I was like, well, I said that's interesting because there's sort of a pseudoscience around polygraphs, and I said, okay, well, so the next thing I'm doing, I have this 1940s polygraph I need to use on this show. And so we started looking for parts for like a polygraph. So I'm looking at like blood pressure cuffs and some of those little Mayo electric needles. Yeah, well, needles would be great, but I think I'm not sure I'm going to go that low tech. There's too much electricity involved in those.
Heat lamp.
Wire up some servos on an Arduino and have just a little long arm and a little pin and just have it kind of doing the thing.
Well, that's it. Like that kind of stuff would just be that, and that's the kind of stuff that I go like, even if you don't. A lot of this stuff we never actually get to build, but sitting there and talking to them and having them looking stuff up and just getting them excited about it makes a huge difference. So one of the other things, like, and I try to find companies like local companies are doing cool stuff. So I got all the robots behind me are all Easy Robots. So this company out of the prairies that do these great sort of scratch programming style robots. And then there's another company I've just talked to. I just picked up one of they've got this Bluetooth Wi-Fi button, basically, this giant smart button that will allow people who can't move or who have physical issues with working with touchscreens. And of course, everything is an iPhone app or an iPad app. And of course, if you don't have those fine motor skills, it's not even incredibly difficult. It's impossible. It's like basically many sort of quadriplegics and stuff have had issues with these technologies. So so this technology allows you to basically scan the screen. So you can scan the screen and click when you're on the things you want, and it interfaces with some of the new assistive tech that's built into the iPad and the iPhone, the OS X, the iOS. That's the one. Thank you, Brian. That's why Brian's here. You know, so I just want to play with that as well, just to show them different ways that this stuff works. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I know we were talking earlier on the Twitters, just so you know, Walter's here. Country 3D's in the house.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So.
Walter, how are you, buddy? Walter, you were talking about getting fit. Walter's the guy to talk to.
He is.
Holy mo! What did he do? He just stopped eating like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walter
He
stopped
subsists
eating.
on water and air now.
Yeah. He's working on ascension. He'll just sort of.
That's awesome.
Good for
He did a
you.
great job, man. I envy him to stick with it this long, and I'm hoping I started recently, and those of you been in my chats the last couple of weeks, we started a little private Facebook group for any makers out there that want to jump in with us, and haven't done a lot with it because I'm trying to figure out exactly where to go. Most
What are
likely,
you doing? What's the?
Send me a link to that.
sounds good.
I've been closing my rings on my Apple Watch for the last 1,036 days. So
Holy moly, I got Fitbit, but yeah,
People need that goal-based. They love that feedback, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
That's what it is.
it's the whole gamification of fitness. It works. Believe
This
it or
knows
not.
more about me than it should.
Yes.
And it does things like, it'll say things like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "No, look, I was watching a show. Leave me alone. Have you died? You need me to call paramedics?" It's like, no, I'm just eating and watching television.
I did 2 sit-ups. I'm fine. All right. No.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe you should go for a walk.
A lot of it is just, tracking what I eat, eating better, and trying to be more fit. We actually have an Oculus Quest VR headset that we've been doing a lot more activity in, and that, I tell you what, when I'm done with some of these things, I'm dying.
Like,
You get your Beat
Beat
Saber on?
Saber? I was
Yeah.
gonna say Beat Saber.
The Beat Saber.
Good workout.
So
I like it too. Show off my rhythm.
my wife,
I got no rhythm.
yeah, my wife is not a workout fan, and I was like, you gotta try this. So I bought an Oculus Quest, and I was like, just try 1 round, and then she tried it. She's like, this is kind of cool, and I said, now go through the setup, and that has you like grab things and hit a ping pong ball. As soon as she was done with that, it's hooked. She has played more than I have.
Now, the problem with VR is now you each need your own room. Like, what do you? It just seems so.
You smack each other in
How do you
the head.
We
How do
take
you
turns.
scale
We
that?
take turns. Yeah.
But
Have
that's.
you
I feel
tried
like-
the plank yet, Jim? Have you tried the plank?
I have not done the plank yet.
You need to get the plank. It's creepy. It's like he has
I,
you up on a high rise. You
Yep.
walk out on the plank, and then it's like, now jump. And you're like, I'm not going to jump. No, and then you arms.
Like I
do-
need help getting sick in VR.
I
I
wish
listen
it
to you.
was,
I'm like, I don't know. I'm like you. I'm like, somehow I'd find a way to like throw up into my visor, probably. I don't
Oh
know.
God!
I
You're
That's
not
a whole,
saying anything.
whole other meaning to immersive. It's just
Yeah.
yeah.
It's 4D. It's 4D. No, but it's not filmed. I wish she was filming it, but I did crash and burn. I was playing a game called Super Hot, and
Super Hot's the best.
it's amazing. But I was really into it, and I spun around to take someone out, and my foot hit an ottoman. I hit the ottoman. I landed on the ground. I didn't know what was going on. I just know something's not right because I'm laying and I'm not standing anymore.
Yeah. First thing I did was take out an entire cabinet. Yeah, right away. So like,
There's got to be like
Well, she almost
Video
burst.
somewhere.
She was laughing so hard, so I don't know. It was funny, but
is there a website somewhere of just like people eating crap doing VR? Because it seems like that would be a meme.
Yeah,
if you
thing.
go to VR fails on YouTube, you find VR fails videos, and it's just all day.
That's it.
Super Hot got me too, Jim.
Heather
You got me.
has it right. There you go.
There it is.
VR to the ER.
Got to be
But
VR.
it's awesome. But yeah, it's a fun thing, but eating better and stuff. And like we were giving Walter a little bit of a hard time. He's doing so good. I love it.
And what is Walter doing? We should ask. Was he on the?
No sugar, and he's eating much better. If he can
How do
chat
you
back.
get sugar out? How do you get sugar out of your diet though? I
don't know.
what's the point? Like at some point, I'm like, I don't. There's no drugs, alcohol. I got nothing anymore. I'm gonna
He's
take my
eating
car.
nothing but gator. It's nothing but gator down there.
That's
There
it.
you go.
Gator meat.
Yeah, the real fun ones, you're talking about the plank. The funny things are people are taking the 2x6s and then they're making people stand on a 2x6.
Travis
and then they're making them walk to the end of the plank, and then they're going right at the
It's so mean. It's so mean. Like, even though you know you're there, it's very psychologically disturbing. You're like, I really don't want to do that. My survivalist instincts really kick in.
It's interesting. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it, because it's one of those things that I feel like there was a huge. I mean, like, as I say, we built the PC to do VR. That's what we. Right. And I've been given these development kits because I've been involved in a VR game. And then the guy's like, "What do you think?" And I put on the stuff, and I was like, "I got to go throw up." Like, I was so
David,
done.
Take some Dramamine. Seriously.
Yeah, but then you can't.
Yeah.
Then you suck at the games. Then you're
No,
like,
you don't. All it does is it suppresses the nausea.
Well,
I live in California, so CBDs are the answer to everything here.
Yeah, it's true. Absolutely everything. We're in Toronto, for God's sake. It's like
same thing.
It's true. Everything is like they're like dosing their dogs now with like CBD oil, and it's literally the cure all for everything. Apparently, like it's
because they can.
Well, long ago, so was Dr. Pepper. So
Dr. Pepper, but that is the only diet drink I like. Diet Dr. Pepper.
Diet DP. It tastes the least diet of all the diet drinks.
Yeah, there's something about the flavor of Dr. Pepper that somehow counteracts that non-sugar sweetener thing. Nothing else. I can't do any other ones.
I work for a hospital group, and in the pharmacy, one of the pharmacies, we actually have some of the original bottles. They have them on display. And if you if you see what was in these things, like, it's amazing anyone lived. I mean,
was it snake oil? And
like alcohol and cocaine and stuff.
Oh my God, it was some stuff. But what's new? What's coming up?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, the next thing for me is another Guillermo movie. Guillermo del Toro's back in town doing a new movie, and I got this rather lovely. It's the email that every actor wants to get. Was just it just said, "Dearest, will you come and do a little part on this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess, fine."
Okay, Guillermo.
He did win an Oscar last year. So that was. Yeah, I mean, he's just amazing. Like, he's just one of those. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I found myself very jaded, very sort of like I really just don't act unless I absolutely have to. I prefer this, honestly, for the most part. I prefer to actually do stuff than pretend to be, doing it on television. But with Guillermo, it was this weird thing with Shape of Water, where I came in thinking like, all right, great. He's like a good director. It'll be good on my resume. I've met him before. He produced another movie, and I went in there, and all of a sudden there's this like Gandalf of Hollywood. Like, he had like tiny little, like, the first time I came in for like a wardrobe fitting or something, he came in. He said, I found this in a bazaar in West whatever the hell, and I thought your character would wear this, and I was like, my character is only in for like 5 days. What do you like? Really? But everything was so meticulous. Everything was so, he cared so much about every aspect of it. He did like a rehearsal for the movie, which again, normally I hate. I hate rehearsals. I'm like, stop, just point the camera. Let's just get it done. Like, all this like finding it rehearsal crap. I work much better in my mind, I work much better if it's just by accident. I happen to get all the lines right, and I happen to stand in the right place. Great. But he does these huge rehearsals and stuff, and I just, like, there were scenes I wasn't even in, and he would turn to you and go like, "What do you think, David?" You're like, "What, me? You want to know what I think?" And just stories about every aspect of every part of the film. He would have some story that related to his life that he would talk about. Like, he has this great story about saving this. He's driving along and he sees I can't remember what it was. It was like a hedgehog or a duck or some animal was on the road, and he picked it up, and it was a frog, and he picked up this frog or toad, and he put it back in the lake or the edge of the lake, and then he drove off, feeling very good about himself. And his wife said, "How do you know the frog was going that way? Like, what if he was going the other way, trying to get away from something?" Like, and he said he lay in bed that night, worrying about this stupid frog. this sense that we have that as humans that we somehow know better, that we somehow, that it's sort of, it's our job to, at the same point that we're destroying the entire planet, it's somehow our job to protect it as well. You know what I mean?
He just set that frog back like a week's worth of travel.
Exactly. I'm a freaking toad. I hate water.
Remember the Simpsons episode? It's like he goes and puts it back. He turns around and like a gator just eats the frog. Like,
which is what his wife was basically saying to him. But he's feeling all good about himself. It's just like little things like that. I just thought were just. It was, and he had this conversation. He was talking about like how you have to do things not because you have to, or because you want to, or because you think it's the right thing to do. You have to do things because you need to do it, that you will die if you don't do it. And the weird thing for me was I thought that was film and television, but what I discovered, having worked with Guillermo, was the stuff that I really felt like I missed in my week was when I was like with these kids doing this stuff. And I thought, look, I love acting. I'm never going to stop acting. It's a fantastic thing to do, and I love it when I'm doing it. But I've never liked I've always said I love acting, but I hate being an actor because there's so much stuff you're supposed to do that's just so silly, waiting around and trying to get jobs, and it feels a bit futile to me. Whereas the tech stuff, you have when it works. Like either it's on or it's off. It either worked or it didn't work. And programming, it's like either it did what you wanted or it did something you didn't. And it's just, there's a wonderful sort of clarity to science and technology that I miss with the acting,
We had a couple things. A whole bunch of people commented. So basically, like the rest of us, you're having to work to pay for your hobbies.
Yeah.
I love that comment.
And then also I had another question sent to me via phone. It's actually a few questions, but I'm going to kind of narrow it down, for time wise. But do you like watching yourself back? Do you go back and watch any of the cuts or no?
Oh, there's nothing worse because there can be like a war sequence with thousands of CG planes and aliens. And you're like, oh man, look at my hair. Like a little, and you're like, this is like a little tiny dot. You can be like a tiny dot in the background. You're looking at you can't judge yourself in any way. I mean, you either think you're perfect, whether you are or not, or you're just, I find it absolutely, people always say like, what do you think of the film? I'm like, oh, it's great. It's great.
Well, listen, while we're on acting really quick, I got to get one question in for David because you've worked with some amazing people obviously throughout your career, but one in particular jumps out at me as like kind of a hero to a lot of us. And I don't know if you have an idea, but man, you got to work with, Richard Dean Anderson, MacGyver. Okay?
MacGyver, he's the man.
There he is.
There you go.
I mean, is his face as soft as it looks right there?
It's pretty soft. It's pretty damn soft.
You got to rub faces with MacGyver, like literally, not elbows, faces.
And I should have shaved. I really should have. I would have had much better contact if I'd done that.
I mean, what was that like? Like, would you be like at the catering table and like they'd be out of forks and he would like actually fashion stuff? Like, did he live that, or is that just that's how good an actor he was? He's
that good. He's definitely that good an actor. He's a funny one because I met him. So the first time I met him, I was on a plane flying to Atlantis, and I had this giant like script, and I was going through and I was highlighting lines and freaking out because I had to do all this dialogue the next day, and he sort of looked over, sort of amused, and I sort of like bowed slightly and didn't want to bother him because it's like, what do you do? You're like, it's MacGyver. I feel better. Do you want the window seat in case the plane goes down? That kind of stuff. But so I hadn't really done much of a connection, other than just sort of polite, sort of the polite fear. And he looked at what I was doing for a bit. Then he reached into his bag and he pulled up these two really thin sheets of fax paper, and he put them down on his table. And then he looked at one, and he crossed out the first line, just scribbled it right out. And then he circled the next one, and then he reduced the other one to like one word. And then he turned to me and said, "Get the lines wrong, and they'll stop giving them to you." And like an idiot, I didn't take his advice because they just kept adding. Like, I wonder how much David can say in a day. But that was
Acting lines.
so.
That's funny.
He was like the MacGyver of acting. He was like,
Yeah.
how to reduce it to its base, you know.
If
Well,
But,
the
you know, one
you
thing
know,
that I liked about
love-
go ahead, Pooch.
With the guy's my idol, right? It's like he's the maker's maker. Like he can make anything out of anything, right? You know?
Well, that was so he was my Doctor Who, if that makes sense. So I grew up with Doctor Who in the way that many people grew up with MacGyver. So because we were a very British household, we spent a lot of time in Britain. It was definitely more of that. So MacGyver was sort of a newer thing. I got into MacGyver more later on than at first. But yeah, it's kind of neat to meet someone who is a word in the dictionary. You know what I mean? Like I would aspire to, you know, to be like, you know, had to have McKay in the I McKay'd that or something. You know,
Right.
like how
Not
cool
only that, it's particularly badass to be able to use all three of your names. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
Either it's really badass to have one name,
Yeah.
like Sting or
Yeah.
Pooch.
Yeah.
But you know,
How did Pooch come about?
Anderson.
How did the Pooch thing happen?
oh, it's a funny story. My last name's Puccinelli, and I just everybody calls me that. So
That's a lot easier to try than
you have to own it. Because people would throw it at me in my youth like it was going to be this insult, and I'm like, no, that's what you know. And I've been Pooch ever since. Everybody calls me Pooch. So
we're going through that right now. First, I have to say, I'm not sure if she's watching, but she's going to kill me for saying this live. MacGyver was my wife's very first crush ever.
Oh, I can understand. It was fantastic.
So because I told her we were coming on, and she's like, wait, he acted with MacGyver, you know, and I was just like, yeah, I think that, yeah, and she's like, oh my god, you know, but that and Jewel, she loves. Oh, she just commented truth and with cryy laughing faces, but that and Jewel, she loves Jewel, but what's really funny is we're going through that right now, having to name a baby boy, like a kid that won't get made fun of ever.
You can't
do
it.
Right? There's nothing really. But
I was like, what do you do with Hewlett? I was who let it? Like I was like, what? That doesn't even work.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes sense anyways, but no, it's fine. I wanted Baz to be called Basil for Basil Fawlty, and my wife was like, no, there's no effing way.
Fawlty Towers.
No, I was like, you know. So then we went for Sebastian. I didn't tell her till later that Sebastian was the name of my teddy bear. So you know, and then we call him Baz anyways because like. Who has time to say Sebastian?
Oh my God, Jim, you're in for it, man. There were so many criteria when we were doing names. It was like, can't be something that can be made fun of. Couldn't be anybody that they knew that was like a
jaded,
you know, a past the relationship or just, you know, what.
My dad.
I'm the third.
Jim,
I've already laid out. Absolutely, we're not doing the fourth.
Highlight practical printing's comment.
Which one?
Which was what?
Hewlett the dog's out.
Yeah.
You can't lose. There's no
gets that.
People are just cruel, especially kids. They can come up with anything. Like it's funny you should mention that. I believe maybe this is just family lore that one of my sisters is named after my dad's ex-girlfriend. I think it might have been Jenny or someone was named. I can't remember. One of my sisters. I've got like 5 younger sisters. I can't keep track of them all. But one of them was actually named after an ex-girlfriend, which I feel is pretty bad form. Like, yeah, that's not. I feel.
How did he get away with that?
I have no idea. So yeah.
He's on that case.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I know we're. I know we're
together anymore. So that probably explains a lot.
Do we have a few more minutes? I know we're at 7. I don't want to hold anybody up. I know. I know I'm okay tonight. I told Lindsay, don't make me dinner. Don't yeah.
I made dinner. I set dinner on fire and left them to it.
That's right. Funny story. Before the stream starts, when we were talking, all of a sudden the alarms start going off in David's house, and he's like, "Hang on, something's going off." He comes back. He's like, "Found it," and he just sat back down and started talking to us. Like,
I gave my son one job, and it was to toast the, as I said, the toasties. What are they called? I can't remember. What did they call it? The brioche? They had to toast the brioche, which is basically stale bread. And so I came up. He's just standing there trying to fan this thing from about, sorry.
They're fanning the smoke toward it.
Yeah.
Stop.
Well, to be fair, when you're toasting things, it's easy to almost burn the house down. When I was a kid, I was going to make some Pop-Tarts. So I put the Pop-Tarts in the toaster, and I turned the toaster on, and I went off to my room to go do something, and I completely forgot about the Pop-Tarts. One of the things that a Pop-Tart will sometimes do is, as it heats up, it will curl.
Mhm.
So it curled up, and then the toaster tried to pop it up, and it couldn't.
Oh.
So it stayed on, and the Pop-Tarts burst into flames.
Oh, nice.
And so
That's a terrible failure mode on a toaster.
the house was full of smoke. I'm running out to the garage, carrying this flaming toaster by its electrical cord, throwing it into the garage.
With the car. That's good. Good thinking.
No, my parents were at work. This was during the summer, so I had to tell my mom when she got home. I burned the underside of the counter with the
Because
Pop-Tarts.
you left me at home alone.
Yeah. So they fixed it because it had like burned the backsplash. We had a Formica backsplash. They fixed it with a spice rack to cover it up.
Oh, nice. That's like my father. That's like my father's renovation technique. He's like, yeah, there's some water damage, but I fixed it, and you don't even need drywall. I was like, oh God, Dad, what have you done? He's like, you just put wallpaper over it and paint it. I was like, what?
He sounds like a homeowner's dream.
Yeah,
Fixed it.
it's like the anti-MacGyver.
Right. That's what that renovation house was. I pulled this wallpaper down. It's all no. I'm just joking.
I heaven forbid the people who end up like renovating, getting that house. I mean, that whole neighborhood is just it's going to all be condos anyways. But yeah, he's I can't wait for someone to just sort of like lean up against something and disappear through a wall because my father is, you know.
Someone, Carl asked, "Are you going to be at Murph this year? Are you going to come out to Murph?"
Oh man, I wanted to go last year, but it's at a weird time for school, I think, or something. There's something that came up last year. I can't remember what it was, but when is it again?
It's the first weekend in April, like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, or something like that.
Oh, so maybe is it that can't be March break then? Maybe I don't have an excuse. Maybe I have to go.
This year, give it serious consideration because Murph is like Mecca of 3D print. You know, I'm sure you've been to Maker Faire, stuff like this, but this is a whole nother experience in that it's the really truly hardcore 3D printing. Like I want to come and just show off what I made.
Right.
And really just awesome people to interact with. Like I mean, I think, you know, I met Jim there the first time and a lot of people, it's like you just get hooked. It's such a neat, and I wish more communities had this type of thing. It's in the middle of nowhere. You would have no other reason to go to Goshen, Indiana.
Right.
But that kind of is part of the draw, right? It's like, you know, you have to make a pilgrimage.
And why is it there? Was there like a print guy there or a print girl there?
CNC, the leadership in that company originally started the thing, and they're based out of there. So that's no. I'd love to. We talked about it last year, and I just it's as always scheduling is just a freaking nightmare. It looks like my wife may. Oh, hey, buddy, how you doing? Did you want to come say hi, or you? Yeah, come on. My son has.
Hey, man.
He's failed to burn the house down, so make sure. Yeah,
but he gave it a try. You did try.
You did try.
A good try.
Hey, because I've got headphones on.
Okay.
What do you need, bud?
I came down to
You want a game?
take my offer. Is that okay?
Yeah, get in there. Go. Just keep the volume down.
I have no volume.
All right, go for it, bud.
Yeah. Did I see him streaming recently? I think he was streaming, right? Yeah.
We streamed this weekend. We did actually a simulcast of the original Stargate Atlantis first episode because I just wanted to say.
Do you want me to bring down dinner?
You want me to bring down dinner? No, that's okay. I think I don't look good eating. Thank you. I'll go back.
That was a great offer. You've trained him well. I'm going to need to take notes.
I know. Remember, I told you like you don't mess with someone and their food. I think Daz has learned early on. It's like, Dad's looking a little hungry. Better feed it.
Here's a Snickers.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, we were talking about that. Actually, we talked about that on the weekend. In one of the shots that made it to air, there's a Snickers bar and a water bottle in this ancient vehicle that hasn't been opened in 10,000 years. And I had to confess, I said, well, I did eat a lot of Snickers bar. Like when my blood sugar got low, people would throw it there. I'd get hit by a Snickers bar. As I started getting really snappy with people, like you'd sort of be like, dunk. You're like, what the? Oh, okay.
So the people in charge of continuity.
You know what's funny about that? You incorporated that into McKay though. I mean,
it is very McKay to have.
I mean, well, McKay would get cranky and he'd be saying, having a hypoglycemic incident. I gotta have something to eat.
Well, it's that weird combination of I think you become your character in the way in the way that people become their dogs, and also I think I've always said I'm just not that good an actor. I have to pull on something from my own self, and I think everyone's got McKay, especially when they get low blood sugar. Everyone's got a certain amount of McKay in them. So, I think it was just about finding your inner McKay. And my wife would give me 15 minutes when I got home to get rid of it.
We got a good question. Jerry wants to know, what do you like to 3D print?
Oh, well, I mean, so recently it's been a lot of stuff for little like Flexi Rexies and that kind of stuff for the kids at McCordick at this school for developmental and physical disabilities. Not the school for it. They don't learn those. The kids have that. There you go. Be a weird school. Yeah, very peculiar choice of education for your child. But they're just an amazing place. So just basically looking for stuff that's going to inspire the kids to pursue. I call it STEAM because it's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Because I feel like if there was, people always said that all this math is so dry. I'm like, well, yeah, but if more creative people took math, math would change too, and math would become more exciting, and math would become more creative in the process. So the printing stuff is mainly, I mean, I really want to get into printing my own stuff. I really want to start, because I love the 3D modeling. I've been playing with Cinema 4D, been playing with Tinkercad and Fusion 360. I spend my life on LinkedIn Learning. That's my Netflix. That's what I watch when I go to bed at night. I'm watching tutorials on this stuff. So I really want to start building my own, because I feel a bit guilty just 3D printing all these knickknacks, because I feel like I'm constantly just printing things that other people have already printed. But yeah, it's usually stuff for the class, or the kids can play with. And then there's been a few sort of robotic stuff, which is kind of fun. So nice. All of the CAD files are available for the Easy Robots. So whenever disaster strikes, which it strikes quite a bit when you have lots of kids and robots, you can 3D print different parts for them. And so there's a lot of that kind of stuff as well, and building little housings for the servos for the robots and stuff. So I'm afraid nothing terribly complex, but again, part of it for me is just the technology. Watching a 3D printer do its thing, to me, is as beautiful as watching fire or the ocean, or it's amazing. The sound, it's extraordinary to watch it. It's the future. It's
hooking, man. So you've never printed a Stargate?
Oh yeah, Stargates. A million Stargates. Look, I got one here.
I know somebody who's working on one right now. Hey, Walter, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, buddy? How are ya?
Yeah, I'm working on one.
Holy heck, I didn't even recognize him.
It's down here.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
See that?
Nice.
I feel really I feel like I'm upside down.
Yeah, don't feel bad, David, because mine is over there in a state of limbo, and that's probably where it'll stay for a while.
It's like Stargate.
You look like you're gonna fit through that Stargate soon, there, Walter.
Yeah. were your ears burning? Because we were talking about your.
I was answering, but it's taking all Jim can do to keep up with chat and stuff, man. So
see, for some reason my chat's not updated, so I don't know what I've done wrong, but I don't see any of the chat.
The button that goes down.
Yeah, it doesn't. For some reason, I'm not. It's the.
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
No. Nice. No.
There you go. Okay, I'm on private. That's what.
There you go.
I was like, boy, this is like an audience of 4.
Yeah.
It was us.
It's actually going by pretty quickly.
Really boring chat.
And I was intrigued. I was watching, and it's going by kind of quickish on my side, and I'm talking at the same time, so I'm not catching all the questions.
Oh, I know. It's I don't know. The streaming thing is so new to me. It is a whole other art, because it's so fun. It's like an ADHD nightmare.
Yeah. That's why I love it, and my wife not so much. There you go.
You're sitting in the game room.
My wife, I think it drives her nuts, because she's she is from like traditional television. She used to work for the E network. She did all the sort of the interviews with all the on-set interviews and all the movie stars and stuff. I remember one day she went off. I was working on Stargate, and she had to fly off and interview Johnny Depp, and all the crew were like really subdued. And I was like, what's up with everyone? They're like, I hear she's going to meet Johnny Depp, huh? I was like, yeah. What's your point? She goes like, well, why would he let her go? Everyone was convinced that Johnny Depp was just gonna, like, that was it. Like it was Jane. The crew absolutely loved the crew much preferred Jane to me.
Nice.
Yeah, but so she's done all that stuff. So she sees this and she hates how like sort of like seat of your pants this whole stuff is.
Right.
I love it. Like that's, to me, this is a weird combination of like theater and hey, nice Stargate. He's got the whole gate room going.
I love it.
Yeah, this is just a neat way of approaching this stuff.
Right.
So.
Well, and I really love it because it allows us as anybody, YouTubers or anyone that just wants to get on to communicate with the outside world a little bit, and they can talk and ask questions, and we can bring people in like this, which StreamYard is super easy to use. And then we were talking about dieting earlier, and Walter was answering a couple times, and I chatted like, you want in?
Yeah.
The thing is, I didn't see your want in until I had went back to the house. I was supposed to take out a bathtub tonight. We're replacing the bathtub in our bathroom. So I was supposed to remove it tonight and put it back in tomorrow. Well, it'll be late. So
yeah. Well, don't blame me, Walter.
Bathtub back in that you're taking out?
No, I'm putting a new one in.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah. When I was fat,
were you getting a smaller one
no.
Sizing
No,
down?
when I was fat, I stepped into ours and busted it. It was a fiberglass tub. So I've done all the patch repair that I could do, and finally just decided to get a new one since I've lost some weight, and maybe I won't bust it again.
You got to make sure you got to get the stuff at the bottom, right? You got to get that. You have to put the concrete down, and then
mortar. Yeah, get a nice clawfoot tub, Walter. Something fancy with.
Man, I live in a 1980 mobile home. A clawfoot would just kind of poke through the floor.
It would just bust.
Yeah.
It automatically drops like this much. Right?
Yeah.
Walter, you've got to do your next stream in the old bathtub.
There you go.
In the old bathtub. That sounds like a Joe Mike Terranella type of thing.
It does.
So a couple of things. Tim wants to let you know, Pooch, he finally built his rep box. He did it on stream.
I missed.
Awesome.
He also asked, Walter, how long did it take you to print the new bathtub?
To print the new bathtub? I did not print it. I do not trust things printed in water.
That'd be a first. Somebody print a bathtub, I'm pretty sure. I was going to say really on the streaming thing, David, I think the reason that you really like streaming is probably the same reason I like it, is that you're a one-take guy. You just get it, and it's nailed, and you're done, and you move on. Because editing takes a long time, man.
But what's neat about that was I love editing because I look a lot smarter when you edit me. Like that's like the reality is everyone can look better through editing. Editing is a whole art to itself. But this has got this kind of there's just I guess it's an immediacy to it. It's I'm amazed at how sort of. That's so ridiculous, but how sort of like happy it makes me. Like I guess maybe I'm lucky with the Stargate, the fellow Stargate folks and stuff, but it's just been a very good, touch wood, been a very good experience for me. Like we've met a lot of amazing people, and it's just it's definitely expanded my world in a way that I would never have thought.
Yeah, the interaction.
I'm getting all the clamped.
Yeah,
I have to edit because I say too much.
So but I got to edit a lot too. I was talking yesterday with Stefan, and he's a teleprompter guy, and his videos are amazing. And I'm like, man, I probably should do that, because you guys watch me for 5 minutes, I'm like squirrel, like
Yeah, no, do a prompter. I built a teleprompter.
Hey David, if you get 2 seconds,
write it all out.
Yeah, if you get 2 seconds, check out that other chat, David, when you get a second. The one you were on in the beginning there.
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, I respect people that I have a hard time. I'm gonna try to do it, but teleprompters, I have a hard time trying to read them and do anything, because I'm more of a let's do this. You know, and
kind of like David though. I mean, I want to sit down and do it live because most people do it like you do it live. They don't do it like you do it edited.
Yeah.
So when you do a YouTube video, they like to see you do it live and mess up just as much as they do.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I mean, there's a thing about like.
I think Pooch froze for a while. I was going to ask if he was froze.
Pooch is trying to edit his response.
I'm just holding very still now.
So I have to say, happy birthday. Now I've got happy birthday to Andrew.
Yeah.
Is it llama?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm wishing a llama happy birthday.
I'm wishing 3D printing llama. Happy birthday.
Oh, right, 3D printing llama. Of course, that makes a lot more sense. There we go. And 3D printing Viking. All three of you have birthdays? Like today? Or is this all like around the same time?
I believe they're all right around. I know Vikings is technically today in his time. Llama, I'm not sure. I couldn't keep up with chat to know if Llama and Andrew is today, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty close here.
Well, happy birthday to all three of you.
There you go.
Never Let the Machine Win was yesterday.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday again. My gosh, there's too many damn birthdays. I gave up celebrating birthdays a long time ago.
I need to fix my lighting because GQ down here is just like, he's freeze frame again on us.
But it looks like a headshot. It's amazing.
Right? It's
like he went to glamour shots.
He's gonna move now, and
Pooch went to glamour shots for his freeze frame.
But the secret weapon that I discovered for auditions was the ring light. The ring light is it's like if there's one piece of lighting tech to buy, get that. Because it just has this great way of just washing. I never use it right. I'm using it to light the place right now. But if you get it in front of the lens, it's flattering. You've got a nice little fall off. That's nice. The YouTubers have it right.
See, I've got a softbox that I basically shoot at the ceiling to kind of wash the area
down,
with some light, but I have to bounce it off the ceiling.
So what are you doing, Pooch? What do you got going?
This is janky. This is a desk lamp.
Desk lamp.
I'm at my parents' house right now. This is not my normal setup.
I'm being interrogated.
Yeah, it's just behind the camera, and I'm just trying the best I can to work with what I got.
I got to tell you, Pooch, the dedication that Pooch put into this stream was like amazing. He's on like this epic journey today, a huge drive, and he's like, I'm gonna stop in the middle of it, and we're gonna stream with you. So
what are you
doing? I really appreciate that.
What are you doing?
I don't know if you're aware, but California is a very long state, not wide so much, but long. And I drove pretty much most of it today.
Oh, really?
In San Diego, yeah.
Oh, wow. We used to do that commute. We used to go down to LA all the time and back up again.
Oh, that's miserable, man. I don't know how you do it because like that going through LA is a crapshoot.
Oh,
like I was down in San Diego. I took my kids down to Legoland for my birthday because that's how we went.
Nice.
They're aspiring.
Oh, we're losing them.
Uh-oh. That must be Robot Land.
There's not enough bandwidth to contain his excitement. Legoland is amazing, I got to say. That was and the eye opener for Legoland for me was that you can get that pass that puts you to the front of the. I was like, this is one of the I like this elitist thing. It was amazing. I was like, sorry, we have, and I would apologize the whole time. Sorry, we have the pass. Yeah.
Oh man, Robbie Mack is ruthless. He said Flying J has poor Wi-Fi. Oh, that's funny. So yeah, I mean, I know we're quite a bit over. I think what I'll do at 7:30 we'll call it. So we got about 9 more minutes, just so we don't keep. I promised an hour to everybody. I don't want to blow that up.
Yeah, that's good. Then I'll stop making sense soon after that. I'll go.
Yeah, no, you're good. What'll happen is next time I'll be like, "Hey, David," and you'll be like, "No, dude, you were like 2 hours late. I'm not." No. And then I'll get a bill an acting bill in the mail for every minute, right?
That's right. I'm an actor by the minute. You've made it. That's like the Marlon Brando. Brando was getting paid by the film minute. That's what I want.
Too funny.
Ageless again.
I'm assuming I pulled him out and he is gone, but I pulled him out. I'm sure he's frozen. He's like, he was very wanting to be in the stream a lot. And when I reached out to David, I said, "Hey, we'll get Pooch on. This will be it'll be a fun show." And it was awesome that he was able to stop in the middle of his trip and jump on with us. I'm sure if he can't get back in, there he is. I'm sure he'll try.
I'm gonna use his. Oh, there you go. He's back. Parents Wi-Fi. Is that parents Wi-Fi? Is that the
I think I'm gonna have to pay to up their plan or something. I think they're probably still on dial-up here.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with streaming. Without, I mean, I can't stream on Wi-Fi anymore. Like, it's just like, I guess because the hardwire thing now is the only way I can do it. Otherwise it's just unbearable.
Yeah.
It depends on where it is. I can do it online.
It's funny you say that because all of mine's cellular connection.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
See, I wish Canada's cell sucks. I couldn't stream anything on a cell here.
My DSL sucks, so that's why I'm on cellular service.
It's got to be cellular, Walter, as the Gators will eat the wires.
That's right.
I was talking to David Ishii, who's this biohacker guy, amazing guy, and he was operating on cell out of his little biohacking shed.
I'm not gonna lie. As soon as Starlink is available, I'm inking my name. Come on.
I'm there. No, I'm totally there.
I'm on it.
I'm like, sorry, astronomers.
Yep.
Elon will lay down, man.
But they're saying that at first it's only going to be for big corporate, there's big corporate ventures, right? They're the only ones who can afford it to start, and then they're going to release it. Or they do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you go watch the YouTube videos on it, they're talking about the initial cost of the hardware being around $300, and then being like $100 a month after that. And they're going to open
speeds. What are the speeds on this thing?
They did it on an airplane. The Air Force did it, and it was a little over 600 megabits per second download. The latency was 33 milliseconds.
Okay, so I love the future.
Dang good for satellite.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Well, because that's always the complaint, right? With the satellite stuff is that can you game on it? Can you
I think two more launches, they'll have enough satellites for the northern U.S. and southern Canada.
And just one of them has to hit the other one, and then the sky is fire, and there's that whole.
And then you see this.
The day the Earth caught fire, was that the one where we somehow managed to set fire to the atmosphere?
Atmosphere, yeah.
That was one of the ones that used the submarine from.
The submarine, that's right.
The 20,000 leagues under. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. That was a show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pooch Reborn. I just noticed Pooch's name. Pooch Reborn.
See, he gets to fill out his own thing. So Pooch, so you're the film that you sent me, the rep court stuff you sent me today. I finally went, okay, I know what I'm going to do, because the kids were saying there was I'd done a bunch of pink ones because the gender wise there was a number of the girls that asked me to do it, and I thought, well, I like the pink, so I'll do the pink. But there was a request they want different colors, and I thought, perfect. I'll do 3 different colors. I'll do the 3 different
Rumble
colors.
Pack.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's it. So I'm Rumble Pack. Yeah. So thank you again for that.
No, you're welcome. I'm sorry I screwed up dealing with the Canadian.
I wish I hadn't said anything. I was so ticked off with Canada and their stupid customs.
Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to have this new NAFTA thing going where it's made here and you're not supposed.
Not if you ship UPS.
I think there's some kind of special paperwork, because I know that a bunch of companies up here have, I guess, done the NAFTA paperwork, which allows them to sell without the duties and stuff. So you might want to look into
it. 1-to-1. Yeah, I'm actually happy you did, because it's made me research this, because I have customers in Canada and I just got a distributor there. Like, this is all very kind of new and exciting to me.
Who's distributing?
3D Print Canada.
Oh, great.
But they're only, but right currently they're only carrying my storage boxes. So the rep box, so the filament and stuff like that, and my cleaning kits and some of that stuff aren't there yet. So I need to make a rep for myself up there before they'll let me expand the catalog.
Oh, really? I have somebody up there who's actually at the events and stuff, or what do they need? Oh, sorry, Jim's trying to get. Are you trying to get our attention, Jim?
No, I was pointing out the rep.
Oh, I see.
That's one of the little doohickeys I make. The rep box.
The thingy boppers.
The thing.
What do I need? I think I just need. They need people to buy what I have so that think that it's good stuff, I guess.
And how did you get into this stuff? Like, how does that? Like, you were.
I mean, I'm a maker, and it was like I just I see a lot of people doing printer reviews and all that stuff, and I'm a web developer by trade.
Oh yeah,
I saw a lot of people.
I love that.
I saw a lot of people making money, selling stuff on Amazon a couple of years back, and so I just kind of started a little side hustle where I was just selling filament and a couple little things on Amazon. And then I got tired of dealing with Amazon because they take a big bite out of you, and there's a bunch of stuff to that. And then my buddy Travis and I kind of sat down and we had all this filament, and we wanted a better way to like store it, and it turned into one of those things where it was like, hey, look at what we made, and somebody was like, hey, will you make one for me? Will you make one for me? And then we went to IRF actually with it, one of the trade shows, and a bunch of people ordered them, and then the rest is I didn't expect it to be a thing. So it's been good, I guess.
And are you at all affected by China now? Like the slowdown in China? Is that gonna happen?
Very, very slightly, because I do some of my packaging and labeling stuff there, but all the production stuff is made in the U.S. and I really like that.
Yeah.
And when I did the deal with 3D Print Canada, like we did go through the whole NAFTA paperwork and all of that stuff. So I suspect that when it's a 1-to-1, it's a separate thing. But again, I'm kind of learning all this as I go.
No, me too. Like, cause that's the thing. Is like I started just doing little T-shirts and stuff for Tech Bandits. Again, just another way of like, because I'm basically just any money I can get, I put towards the Tech Bandit stuff. The T-shirts. Same thing. I looked around for shops because I was like, okay, so there's one. I'm using Spreadshirt, and I've got one in Canada with certain rules and tax things, and then another one in England, which looks after Europe, I guess, for the time being until they don't. But it really is like for this big global community thing. I'm amazed at how much paperwork there is still to get stuff across a border. An imaginary.
It's really it's tough because there's a lot of people that I would love. So first of all, the reason that, for those that don't know, like we were really lucky to have David on the 1440 Makers stream, and I was tickled that he, commented how much he loved the whole thing, and I just love supporting people that support the other cause, and so I just sent him some, and I screwed up, and apparently he got dinged with duties and stuff like that. So, but live and learn, I guess. And
honestly, it happens all the time. So it's like it happens all the time. I just get ticked off about it. And it was that one in particular. I was like, oh, come on. The guy sent me a damn gift, and the government's taking like the price of the filament out of the anyway. And especially
if you think it's bad, though, some of the EU states, and like I'm learning, way too much. And it's tough because as a small business, I mean, it's really just, me, and I have some part-time help. There's a lot of administrative stuff to manage. It makes it. And that was part of the challenge I was having with Amazon, is that they had this deal up until recently where you had to register to collect sales tax in all of these different states, and it was an administrative nightmare. And I didn't have the time and bandwidth to do it. So I'm like, well, I'll just sell on my own website. And I took a big hit volume wise, but I kept the margin. And so, I don't know, it's different, but you live and learn.
Yeah, you sort of fall into this stuff, don't you? I mean, like even just I'm just finding like with the Bandit stuff is I'm trying to figure out maybe is there a business approach to this? Like, is there something that I could do that could just sort of help sustain it in a more business way, as opposed to this kind of like, I don't know, let's see what happens. But again,
you mean like on a global level? You mean like a better way to try to reach out worldwide, or?
Definitely. My wife's been talking to me about that, where she's just saying like, look, you've got, you can get anywhere from 10 to 25 kids in these classes. But if you start doing videos, you could be doing 25,000, 25 million, like it's like. So we're just trying to figure out how to sort of branch out into more, because again, I love spending the time, but if you could spend the same amount of time and hit so many more kids, it'd be great. So now, Walter, you were talking about doing some filament or something at some point, weren't you? Or you were thinking about?
Yeah, no, we looked into it, but after seeing how Pooch goes about it and some other companies went about it, basically we were just going to rebrand filament and, put our names on it. And it wasn't worth the money.
Right.
Filament is I will say it right now, for me, it's a lost leader. I don't know if I'll continue to do it once I go through the batch I have, because I'm a rebrander, like he's talking about, where it's like I originally just kind of had somebody else make it for me, but I've been running into too many quality control issues, and I take things too personally when there's that I don't like feeling like I'm letting somebody down. And when you don't have control over the quality control of the product, and then it's like, I'm sorry, I can give you your money back, and I can take it back, and then I could go to the, but there's such a race to the bottom now happening with filament. There's so much competition.
Well, and Amazon's
a couple
doing it now with the basics too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you focus on instead then? Oh,
freeze frame.
Free print.
I think the other items, David, is what he's going to focus on with the rep box and his cleaning kits and stuff like that aren't sold by everybody.
Right,
I mean, there's so many filament, and the thing is, there's only a handful of filament makers.
Right.
But then so many people distributing the same filament. And like you said, I mean, we looked at the quality control issues. We looked at just trying to do like specialty silky filaments or glittery filaments, just that. And it just the output of money, the return on investment just wasn't there for us.
So you were going to go like just disco filament. That was your,
Yeah.
Nice.
I was going to say, you could, if you could focus on modeling Pooch, because those still shots were really nice.
Thank you.
Like, I've decided to get out of the filament game, and I'm just going to become a model.
There you go.
Not hands though. Like, these hands.
Hands. No, there's a maker's hands. Never good. Yeah.
The money's not as good in hands, is it?
Too many burns. Yeah.
Hey, Walter.
Yeah.
This is for you.
That's right. All purple filament. But see, the thing about it is, I have, and let me look. Let me get it.
Lindsay, Walter gave my wife a roll of purple haze filament last year.
Oh,
there it is. There it is.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And she was absolutely, she loved this. She held on to it like a baby.
You're gonna need a bigger printer, Walter.
It had such an impact on the community. I'm no joke. I get on with Stefan yesterday morning. We're in pre-chat kind of talking. He's like, "Hey, it's been a year." And I was like, "You remember me?" I was like literally nobody last year when I met him, and I couldn't believe he even remembered me. He's like, "Yeah, I remember you at Murph last year. Your wife was really excited about that filament." Oh, there it is.
Purple haze. I love it.
I gave her the only roll of purple haze I had at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Pooch is the one that distributes purple haze.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As a matter of fact, this that I just picked up was some that he was getting manufactured. This is an off-color purple haze. So it's an off-color batch that was
nice
gifted to me.
You got the region. It's funny because Walter, it looks like you just keep your stuff in the bushes behind you.
I know, right? Yeah. I reached up the other day and I pulled down a flex plate, and somebody goes, "Walter's just pulling flex plates out of the sky."
They're in the trees.
I'm just waiting for a T-Rex to come storming through and just chomp you, man. It's like,
well, I do have another picture here. There you go.
Oh, there you go. So you're like outside your house now. Is that the?
Yeah, right.
Where's the bathtub?
Yeah, where's the bathtub in there?
Well, this was taken, quite a few weeks ago. Now this is not my house. That my house is not quite this old.
Right.
But it's close.
Also, are there more cars on blocks out front, or is it just the?
No, we have 2 acres, Pooch. So all the cars on blocks are at the back.
Oh, they're in the back. All right.
They form the back fence.
Yeah.
So if you go back to that other picture where it showed the grass, are the cars underneath there?
Yeah, right. Believe it or not, those are actually palm trees. If you look close, all of that is palm fronds.
That's awesome. I love the green.
Mow the lawn and find 5 cars.
Are you using
Speaking of palm trees real quick, this blew my mind. I drew across the LA River on the way home today, and there were palm trees growing in the middle of the LA River, man.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that before. It was bananas. It's like a bunch of weeds and palm trees.
This picture behind me is the part of Florida that I live in. This is what it looks like close to here. This is all piney wood forest. This is what we have.
And is there? So the palms are growing out of the ground, or is it a bog, or is it what's the like?
No, it's just these are actually like scrub palms. These don't get very tall at all. They only they're like undergrowth foliage. Palms.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then I was because we don't like it's Toronto. Everything's dead within 6 months anyway. It's so damn cold. You know,
Well, see, and that's the thing. The pine trees nor the palm trees never die. So
right. I was amazed how much the pine trees actually shed. We've got 2 in the backyard, and it's just like, I'm like, what? You're supposed to be, come on.
I can't stand the sap.
Oh yeah, no, it's terrible. It's terrible stuff.
Yes.
Oh man, I grew up in Wyoming where it's all pine trees. So you want to talk about sap? You could look up and drink maple syrup. It's just...
I liked it when people would like park. There was a tree. There was a tree in my old place where the cars would park overnight, and like, oh, I found a spot. I can't believe I found this spot. They found the spot because when you got up in the morning, there was sap all over you, and you could not get that out. Like, forget it.
You only parked there once.
Yeah, exactly. And then you direct people you don't like to it.
There's a couple of those where my wife works. It's under a berry tree.
Oh,
and in the spring, the birds will conglomerate in that tree. And if you're in any of the 4 parking spots, you're going to get into a crappy car at the end of the day.
You are done. Yeah, no, that's so true. I remember that. Well. Yeah, that was the crows in Vancouver. Have these crows that will fly in and out of the city every morning and every evening, and we'd be shooting at the studio in Burnaby, and you'd see and it would just, the sky would darken, and these like massive amounts of these crows would come flying over, and everyone of course would take cover. And then
crows.
End of the day, they've built it into their daily structure now. They would go into the city to get the food, fly back out again for the night. It's amazing. Yeah.
Like the birds, huh?
Oh yeah, totally like the birds. Yeah, like it was an absolute horror film. I think someone actually did a horror film called like Caw or something because Caw.
Nice. Well, guys, I know we're quite a bit. We're like 40 minutes over. Go ahead.
Oh, right. Okay.
Can I just ask one more question? One more question for David.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So for actors out there that are getting into nerding, what advice do you have for them?
Actors who want to get into nerding?
Yeah, there you go.
The stuff that I geek out about from the film standpoint is all the camera tech and the editing and the VFX and all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like, that sort of opened my eyes to the other side of acting, where like there's 2 things. Either you have the mega stars in a movie or you have the VFX. And I feel like if you want to be a star in the movie, like one of the things I did with the Tech Bandits is I do like a little weekly like newsletter thing. And one of the ones I put out recently was like how to win an Oscar. And it's like, learn how to do visual effects, because that's like those are the visual effects are the stars of the movies now. So if you're a geek and you want to get into this stuff, you could be creating characters, you could be using your acting skills for the voices, you could be, and the other thing is just like doing it, like just start acting. Like when I started, none of this was available. You had to use film and wait for it to get processed and stuff. Now there's no excuse not to write, produce, direct. We've all got to go back to the Chaplin era and start like writing, producing, directing everything. I mean, you got to do your own stuff if you want to get any.
You got to be a Renaissance man, huh? A real maker. Yeah, that's actually good advice. I mean, I was being kind of flippant, but that's actually really good advice. And I think what I really wanted to get to though was like, as an actor, I'm more curious. You've obviously gotten involved with kids and done, a lot of this tech stuff. And as people have joked that you're kind of using your acting career to support your true passion.
My wife have that. Yeah.
But as an actor and somebody with some star power, where I'll be serious about it. Obviously, people know. Like, do you believe that celebrities are enough actors like use their celebrity in a positive way like this? Is it something that you think more should be doing?
I think a lot of them do in their own way. It's not always this, if that makes sense. Like I feel like actors have a lot of time to sort of contemplate the world. So I think people find different ways to sort of fill the time between jobs. I mean, it's always been very odd for me because I got into acting from almost in a way behind the camera, because my friends were making little movies and you couldn't just be an actor in that. You had to hold the sound, the boom pole, or do it, or help with the editing or the lighting and all that kind of stuff. So the whole process to me was a very active, very nerdy pursuit. Like I loved it because it was all technology and geeky stuff and film tricks and all that kind of stuff. It was quite a disappointment to me when I discovered that actors actually, that's all, they just acted. I was like, what? I mean, you sure you don't want a hand with the, okay, you know, like, because basically, unless you're talking on camera, you're just in the way, like on set. Like, it's just like, yeah, thanks, just go get a coffee. It's not that they think you're better. It's because you're in the way. Like, it's, off you go, you know. So, you know, I think I think people are generally pretty good about that stuff. I mean, I think what I've discovered though is maybe a little different in that there's always a geek who knows a geek, and that to me that's the power of all of this. In fact, like, this is a perfect example where there's always someone who knows something that you want to know, and the beauty of being in science fiction and being like a lover of that science fiction yourself, and being like a geek, for want of a better word, I guess, yourself, is that you can connect to people who are interested in the same stuff, and it gives you access in a way that, like, you know, no one would be talking to me unless you know, like I say, I'm printing Flexi Rexies on the Prusa, but I'm able to talk to Prusa, and I'm able to talk to you guys. You know, Stargate and the stuff that I've done in the film industry has given me a little key. It's the lock and key to the world of geek stuff, and that's just been, I think, in a way, it's less about me giving back than it is me going like, hey guys, check this out. I got a window into some cool stuff over here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
So I have one more before we go, because that made me think. Have you ever brought your 3D printer on set anywhere?
You know, it's funny. I sent Guillermo a picture. Sorry, that sounds terribly. Guillermo, you know, my friend Guillermo. I sent him a picture of the kids with the brain computer interface, the Open BCI interface on, and was telling him about, because I was just so excited about the fact that he'd written this thing that had a polygraph in it, and that the kids were now developing this polygraph thing. So yeah, it's I'm not sure I'll bring the 3D printer to set. Maybe not the first day. You know, I'll you know, you want to make sure you get on film for a bit first, so it's harder for them to fire you. Yeah. Then you start bringing the tech in. Then you start moving into the trailer and setting up the sorry about the fumes. I'm working with I don't have any PLA left.
If you do that, you got to set up a camera, and then you got to put it on YouTube, like, you know, Guillermo's first 3D printers, you know, or something. It would be funny to see their faces. There
was something up the other day that I saw. Someone had designed this beautiful the fawn from Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, and he had actually commented on it, because he's I mean, I'm a nerd. He's an even bigger nerd. Like, we talked comic books. He's on the internet all the time. Like, he revels in this stuff, and he's just got, again, you know, like, he finds this stuff. Like, he finds someone who's created the fawn, and then we'll fawn over it. Like, we'll actually make a fuss about it, because he's, you know, he just.
Your job, Brian.
It's Brian's joke.
I know. I had to.
Totally stole your pun, man.
My wife. My wife so subtly pointed out in the chat that I brought my printer to a karaoke once. It was a fundraising. It was a fundraising event, and I set a printer there, and I printed Day of the Dead. What was I doing? Maybe it ended up being a vase because the file was corrupt, and I didn't have my. Long story short, it was a vase at the end. The file went all crazy. But it's when what happens is you go off site, you don't bring tools, and you can't fix your file when it goes wrong. But long story short, people just came up and were like, "This is awesome," and I love that. I love doing that, and that's why you got to get to Murph, because Murph is all like that. It's all like that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Walter's laughing because he's been trying to get me there for like 2 years now.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got. I mean, I will certainly. Look, I'm dying to. I would love to go. Like, I'm all over.
It's Amish country, man. Come on out. See the horse and buggies, man. It's beautiful.
3D printed buggies, even.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We're talking about the 3D printing this time, and how excited people are to see that happen for the first like 5 minutes, and then they're like, "How long is it going to take?" And you're like, 7 hours. They're like, "What?" They're gone.
And that's a fast print.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like a Flexi Rexy.
Right.
But so one of the things I'm actually looking into is the CNC side of stuff, because the advantage of that is that the kids could be designing stuff and having it cut like right there. And I think that immediacy is a big thing for them. Like, they're really excited about it. But to me, it loses a certain amount of impact because you sort of they can design something, and then 2 days later I come in, I'm like, there you go, there's what you print. They're like, cool, I've already forgotten about that, you know. So, whereas with the CNC, I feel like maybe we can actually do some stuff within like one session, come out with something that they'd actually designed is the idea.
Nice.
That's just getting into more of that too, and not all of that is fast either, but I can see where you're going with that. And honestly, stay tuned. In the next couple of years, I think you're going to see a lot of interesting stuff in terms of speed for different 3D printing technologies that are still accessible and all kinds of stuff. So it's a good time to be alive in the world of desktop manufacturing.
Oh, I can't wait. This is the dream. I mean, this is the nerd dream, right? I mean, this is like the idea that you've got a manufacturing, you can build a manufacturing factory in your freaking basement. Like, how cool is that?
In my garage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or in your palm frond if you're Walter.
There you go. In your palm. That's awesome. Well, on that note, I tell you what, we should start wrapping up. Like I said, I don't want to promise too much. I would talk literally all night.
Yeah, me too, but I won't make any sense now because I should eat.
I was going to say, your food has been on since it burnt before we started the stream.
I know. I hate to think what it's going to look like.
I love it. So,
like scraping it off with the scraper, you know.
Let's start with Brian. Brian, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at the BV3D channel. You can also find me on Twitter at Brian_Vines.
Awesome. Walter.
Oh, man, you can find me everywhere at Country3D, KUNTRY 3D, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Starting tomorrow night, I do believe my live streams will be back starting tomorrow afternoon at 6 p.m. So
All right.
I will also have online.
Ooch.
Ooch, I'm Repcord on all the things. REPKORD at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter mostly, MySpace.
What's a place for friends?
I do like my Twitter, I must say. I'm D Hewlett on Twitter, but thetechbandits.com or techterrors.com will sort of give you an insight into the crazy madness that I have brought upon myself and my family.
I do have your website linked in the description below, David. And then after the stream, I'll make sure to get everybody else in there too, just so anyone that rewatches this can find us. But thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. If you guys are out there and watching, thank you guys for sticking around for almost 2 hours, and we had a blast. It was a lot of fun. I love the energy, David. It's amazing.
Oh God, no, it's fantastic. Like I say, I feel very fortunate to be a part of this stuff. So I'm gonna get back on Walter's show now that he's up and running again too.
Nice. Well, you guys hang out right there. Everybody else, thank you guys again for coming. I really appreciate it. We'll be back next week right here on the same time, 6:00 p.m. The community showcase. And you never know when these guys will all pop back in. It could be a surprise like tonight. It ended up being awesome. So thank you so much. I know Walter jumped in like randomly at the end there. So thanks for jumping in, Walter.
It's a party.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. But you guys rock. Thank you again, everybody in the community, for watching every week. I know we had 3 streams in the last 7 days, but you guys were there for all of them. So you rock. Everybody else hang out there. We'll see you guys next time. And yeah. Bye, guys. Keep printing, everybody.